All right, let's get into this now. Without further ado, top 5 plays of the season. I put some. Look, it's top 5 plays. It's not top 5 positive plays. It's just top 5 plays. Okay. And
setting it up.
My number 5 play was when Sean Dion Hamilton was injured against LSU. You remember it was in Atlanta last year against Florida. He was hurt. He says like the quarterback of this football team. Fought back, came back, was a great player, and then got hurt again. And I felt like, it was one of those moments where you're like, oh, you got to be kidding me. It'll be memorable from this season because he's been such a contributor over his career. He's the one starter that's not going to play in the game against Clemson that was with Alabama at the beginning of the season.
No, yeah, he's the big loss. He's going to be a big loss on Monday night for sure, but I chose to keep it positive as we wrap up 2017, Mick, and try to have a positive attitude and some optimism heading into 2018. So my list won't be like yours very much, but we might cross over a little bit. Number 5 for me, Levi Wallace's interception return for a touchdown against Ole Miss.
Ooh.
Because, again, as I referenced, it's him on my top 5 player list. It was the second INT of the year, took it back. It was the only defensive touchdown of the year for Alabama, a team that last year scored in seemingly every single game.
Yeah.
Only one defensive touchdown. It was that one.
Wow. Yeah, the turnovers this year haven't quite been as abundant as they were last year for points. Alabama last year always seemed to find other ways to score besides moving the football down the field on offense. Special teams and defense. So, that one, I think that's a good one.
Okay.
I'll give you props there. All right, my number 4 play is those back-to-back touchdown throws by Tua in the Vanderbilt game. We heard about Tua, and all of a sudden here's Tua in the game. And there was the one in particular, though, to Devontae Smith where he looked like Steve Young. He's in the pocket, and here comes the Vanderbilt guys, and he steps up and then steps back and then wings the ball down the field and hits him in perfect stride over top of a defender. 6 for the Crimson Tide. I thought that was a play that we go back and watch on YouTube.
Yeah, I honestly can't believe this because number 4 for me is Tua. I didn't have back-to-back, but I had that one that you're describing as my number 4 play of the year because it was kind of his coming out party, as you mentioned. And that play, to not only avoid the sack, stay in the pocket, take a hit, but have the awareness to see his guy down the field and then drop the perfect pass in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. It was an incredible throw, and it's number 4 for me.
You remember DeAndre Francois? I said it right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Was it Ronnie Harrison that tackled him?
It was.
Yeah. Well, that's my number 3 play.
Ooh.
Look, it was a dominant effort when Alabama played Florida State. Francois is a great football player, but no one remembers him. He got hurt the first game of the season, and it turned Florida State's year into a disaster. And I don't know if you heard this, Ben, but their head coach went to Texas A&M.
He did.
He left. He left. He won a national championship like 3 years ago. Out the door he goes. All of that happened because of Ronnie Harrison tackling Francois, and it was a clean hit. It wasn't like, it wasn't like a dirty play. He just tackled him, and he got hurt for the season. That play right there changed the course of Florida State's season, and Alabama won the football game easily.
I like that. Number 3 for me, Minkah Fitzpatrick, his interception against Texas A&M. Let me take you back to that game, Mick. That was the game where Alabama kind of got off to a slow start, wasn't playing its best game. A&M had just scored, made it a 14-point game. We're driving down the field again. 3rd and 5 at the 10-yard line. Had a chance to score there or kick a field goal. Minkah Fitzpatrick picks it off at the 1-yard line, goes out of bounds, kind of stops the momentum. They ended up getting a safety the next play or two, but kind of stopped the momentum in that and kind of shows you and kind of encompasses what Minkah Fitzpatrick's all about, making the big play at the key time.
Yeah, and I agree. That was a good play. Number 2 on my list is another play, a couple of plays in that Auburn game that weren't good for Alabama, those bad snaps.
What are you doing to me, Mick, with these,
look,
these memories?
Bo's at the line, and I guess he was trying to signal that someone on Auburn's defense was clapping, which is against the rules, right? You're not allowed to clap, to disrupt the snap. But that's obviously what was happening. And the snap over top of Jalen's head and then, 12 men on the field, it really exemplified how terrible that game was for Alabama.
Yeah, that was a big play for the season. Not a positive one, but definitely affected the outcome of that game and of the season as well. For me, number 2, go back to game number 1. I'm not gonna reference the Ronnie Harrison hit that you went to, but for me, I think the game-changing play in that one was Damian Harris's block punt against Florida State. Dylan Moses recovered. They ended up getting a field goal. The ensuing kickoff, they got another fumble recovered. Damian Harris took it in the end zone for a touchdown. The game went from 10-7 to 21-7 in a matter of minutes late in the third quarter and really changed that game. It was tight, but that kind of spread it out, and Alabama put it away from that point. So Damian Harris's block's number 2 for me.
I got a Daniel Moore print in my hand, Ben.
That is a beautiful print.
And it's Kenyon Drake diving for the pylon. It's called Finish, right? 2015 national championship game in Arizona. If there was a Daniel Moore print from this season, you got to have it number 1 on your list because it was the play that really stood out the most. Devontae Smith, final minute against Mississippi State in hostile territory.
Yep.
Wallace Davis, what is it? Davis Stadium?
Davis
Wade Stadium, right? Boom. Touchdown, 31-24. I could still see Jalen Hurts throw that football and the missed tackle, and Alabama won the game. And I said it here from this spot. I knew at that point Alabama was in the college football playoff.
You're right. Number 1 for me, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You're right. I mean, there weren't a ton of plays that really stood out, big plays. And, a lot of the games weren't close for Alabama in victory, and then that Auburn loss was a 2-score game. So this one really was the play of the season because it kept the hope alive. We watched it right here at timeout. There was a few Bulldogs on the side of us.
They were barking at us.
They were chirping most of the game.
They weren't chirping. They were barking.
We didn't hear much afterwards, but it was a fun game, a great experience, and definitely the top play of the game of the season for me once again.